Please. Thousands of Filipinos in the Washington stands went still for exactly one heartbeat, and then Alex Eala broke Naomi Osaka's serve for the fourth time. The scoreboard read 6-4, 5-2. A four-time Grand Slam champion, currently ranked 13th in the world, was being dismantled in front of a crowd she had spent an entire press conference preparing to erase from her mind. What happened at match point? After the handshake, after the polite nod to the very official who had been shushing her fans all night, is the image the WTA is going to be reckoning with for the rest of the season. Rewind 7 days. Eala walked into the Mubadala DC Open ranked 28, unseeded, and largely treated as a fun draw for the tournament's growing Filipino audience. In the span of 1 week, she has taken out the defending champion Leylah Fernandez, the world number 10, Elina Svitolina, and now Osaka, 3 seeded players in 3 consecutive matches, in front of a crowd the chair umpire kept trying to police. Her live ranking has already jumped to 25, with more movement locked in before Sunday's final against world number 3 Jessica Pegula. And through all of it, one detail has followed her from court to court. Every time the crowd got loud, the microphone came back on.
Remain silent during the rally as it's causing a disturbance to the players. Thank you.
Here is the truth. Tennis has been circling for 6 months. The chair umpire's microphone is not a neutral instrument at an Alex Eala match. It has become a boundary line. On one side, the traditions of a sport built on hushed, church-like reverence between points. On the other, a fan base that shows up in the thousands, waves Philippine flags from the first serve to the last, and does not remember agreeing to any of the old rules. According to fan footage and Philippine media reports from throughout the DC Open, the chair umpire reportedly stepped in more than once across Eala's run to remind spectators to observe traditional tennis silence. And this is not new. This is a pattern with a timestamp on it. And it started long before Washington. Naomi Osaka told the world in her own words what she thought of that pattern before the semifinal was ever played. She was not cruel, she was not mocking, but she drew a line so clearly that you could see the chalk. Japanese fans, she said, are very respectful, very quiet, even when she wins a point. Filipino fans, she said, felt like more than a basketball game, positive on its face, devastating in its subtext. There is a right way to be a tennis fan, and Eala's crowd was on the other side of it. Start with the money, because the money never lies. DC Open Tournament Chair Mark Ein told the Washington Post that in the month leading up to this event, at least 80% of ticket inquiries, possibly more,
Ticket team says 80%, if not more, of the requests in this tournament are about $1.
were specifically about when Alex Eala was playing. Ein's exact words, "It's not an exaggeration." The very crowd the microphone kept trying to soften was the crowd that filled the seats. The passionate flag-waving Filipinos being asked to observe golf club decorum were also the reason the concession stands were open. Now layer Osaka's pre-match plan on top of that. In her press conference, Osaka said she would definitely zone everything out. A 4-time major champion standing at a podium the day before a semifinal, telling reporters her strategy was to mentally erase the loudest section of the building. She then walked onto the court and lost 6-4, 6-2. The statistics tell you exactly how well the zoning out worked. Osaka won just 59% of her first serve points. Eala broke her 4 times out of 12 chances. On her own serve, Eala won 71% of first serve points and 83% of seconds. This was not a lucky night. This was not the crowd carrying an underdog across the line on emotion. This was a 21-year-old outplaying a former world number 1 on every metric that matters, while the microphone kept reminding her supporters to sit down. And then there is the pattern. Because the shushing did not begin at the Fitzgerald Tennis Center. It began in January at the Australian Open on Court 6 in a first-round loss to Alicia Parks. The Sydney Morning Herald ran the headline, "Crowd warned for crazy noise during match." WTA.com reported that Parks herself complained to the chair. An Asia News Network story framed the whole affair as a learning curve for Filipino fans, as if a country of over 110 million people simply had not been taught yet how to love tennis correctly. Melbourne in January, Washington in August, 2 continents, 2 tournaments, the same microphone doing the same work. This is the moment the audience that has been watching Eala since Miami last year gets to sit with something. Every Filipino fan who was told they were being too much, every viewer who defended her crowd on Twitter when the tennis establishment called them disruptive, every commenter who said the sport was going to have to adjust. You were reading the game correctly. The ticket data proves it. Osaka's press conference proves it. The scoreline proves it. And then at match point came the image that pulled every thread of this story into a single frame. Osaka's return sailed long. Eala did not scream. She did not drop her racket. She kept her face neutral, walked calmly to the net, shook Osaka's hand, then turned and shook the chair umpire's hand, the same chair who had been reaching for the microphone all week. Only after that walk of composure did she step away, drop her head into her hands, and let the tears come. The crowd rose to its feet. One fan in the stands, photographed by the Washington Post, was wearing heart-shaped earrings emblazoned with the Philippine flag. The umpire got the handshake. The crowd got the tears. Consider who spoke next. Not a Filipino journalist, not a fan account. Naomi Osaka, 4 Grand Slam titles, former world number 1. One of the highest-earning athletes in the history of women's sport. The player Eala said she used to watch on television during those U.S. Open and Australian Open finals. The same Osaka who had 24 hours earlier described Filipino fans as louder than a basketball game sat in the post-match press room after losing 6-4, 6-2, and delivered the verdict herself. She called Eala an amazing player. She called her incredible. She said, "I think she's a star." And she said it was amazing that she's such an inspiration.
Alex, she's incredible. I think she's a star. She's such an inspiration. I really love hearing her talk because it's really cool, the things that she says.
That she loved hearing Eala speak because of the things she says. That is not a courtesy quote from a beaten opponent. That is a 4-time major champion publicly transferring her authority to the 21-year-old who just took her apart. While the crowd Osaka had planned to tune out celebrated in the aisles, the ticketing data from Washington signals something the tour has not yet said out loud. Tennis has always operated on the assumption that the spectator is a guest at a private ceremony, that I'm polite, hushed, deferential. Eala is testing whether that assumption can survive contact with a country of over 110 million people who have collectively decided this Mallorca-trained 21-year-old is theirs. 80% of DC Open inquiries carried her name. Osaka's own vocabulary, more than a basketball game, is now the phrase every WTA marketing executive is quietly writing down. Look at what comes next. Sunday, August 2nd today, Eala plays Jessica Pegula for her first WTA 500 title on Pegula's home American soil. Next week, the National Bank Open in Canada, where Osaka must defend finalist points and could very well see Eala across the net again. 3 weeks after that, the U.S. Open in New York, a tournament with a crowd notoriously ready to reward exactly the kind of energy Eala brings. The microphone in Washington was trying to hold an old world in place. 3 tournaments from now, that old world will be surrounded. Remember where this began. January 2026, Court 6 in Melbourne. Eala won the opening set at love against Alicia Parks and then lost the next 2, 0-6, 6-3, 6-2. She left Australia not as a rising star but as a talking point about crowd behavior. When she was later asked about that atmosphere, according to Yahoo Sports reporting from April, she did not distance herself from her supporters. She defended them. 6 months later, the same player who was shushed off court 6 walked into a stadium in Washington, beat the defending champion, the world number 10, and a 4-time Grand Slam champion in consecutive matches, and did not lose a single set to any of the last 2. That is the answer she gave. She did not give it with words. She gave it with a scoreline. 80% of the tickets. Osaka's more than a basketball game. Heart-shaped Philippine flags in the stands. A handshake with the umpire before the tears. 59% first serve points for a former number 1. 6 months from court, 6 to stadium court. For half a year, the chair umpire's microphone has been the loudest voice at an Alex Eala match.